from the soul with it. Yeah. So sports writer and NBA columnist for ESPN Jackie MacMullan was on the George Sedano podcast with former Lakers player and coach Byron Scott in studio. They talked about a variety of topics pertaining to the Los Angeles Lakers. They talked about LeBron James' injury and should the Lakers fans be concerned at this point. They gave their assessment of how they viewed the Lakers' young core this season. They also discussed the young core's value in terms of a possible blockbuster trade. George Sedano started off asking Jackie, should the Lakers and fans be concerned about LeBron's injury? She responded by saying she isn't concerned. She stated she spoke with LeBron James' agent Rich Paul on Monday and explained how she would do the same thing if LeBron James was her client. She stated that it's not about this year, it's about next year and beyond. Byron Scott also agreed with Jackie and said that his injury could get worse if he was to play, if he isn't at least close to 100%. Byron Scott says he believes when LeBron and Rondo comes back, he believes that the Lakers will make a run and win some games to get into the playoff conversation. George Sedano then asked Jackie, what does she make of the young guys on the Lakers? So Jackie MacMullan explained how she was in studio with George Sedano last spring, and she remembers herself saying that she thought that Brandon Ingram would be this, he'll be that, and the other thing. And she says he's actually turned out to be the other thing. But she says that's not to say he won't be good, but says the numbers tell us that him and LeBron James don't play well together, and says if you're a Brandon Ingram, that's bad news because LeBron is going to be around a while. She says that Brandon Ingram is very thin and she believes that he needs to build up some muscle. Byron Scott also agreed with Jackie and says that Brandon Ingram is playing well now that LeBron James is out, but he has to figure out how to play with LeBron James. Jackie MacMullan did say that she thinks that LeBron James deserves some blame as well for how Ingram hasn't elevated his game. She says he needs to meet the kid halfway, make it a little easier for Brandon Ingram, put him in the position to succeed, build up his confidence. Jackie says even if you don't think you will play with him forever, at least help his trade value. At least help his trade value, Bron. So they also talked about Lonzo and how he's played well, but now they're starting to question his durability. So that's when George Sedano asked Jackie MacMullan, what does she make of the young core value? Does she think any of these young players could fetch a star player? She said, not on their own. We're talking about Anthony Davis. Will they offer him the max? Of course. Will he accept it? I don't think he will, but I don't know. I love Anthony Davis. We can't talk enough about how professional he is and how well he's handled the speculations. So let's just play the game. Anthony Davis gets to the end of the season. They offer him the supermax. He declines. Now you're in a position where you got to look at a trade. There's two places you're going to look, Boston and LA. Now, does Anthony Davis want to go to LA? I'm sure he does. But do he want to go to LA so badly that he won't even consider Boston? And if you are New Orleans, Boston, they have more assets. They have better picks. They have a younger stable of players. She also asked both Byron Scott and George Sedano would they trade Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown for Anthony Davis, and they both responded by saying yes, they would. So if you guys would like to hear the full audio, the link is in the description box. But of course, I agree with Jackie MacMullan and Byron Scott about not being worried about LeBron James' injury. I stated that in my last video, and as far as the Lakers being cautious with LeBron James, Byron Scott repeated everything I stated in my previous video. I believe that once LeBron James comes back and Rondo comes back, I think that the Lakers will make a run and still get into the playoffs. I stated that I believe that the Lakers will finish anywhere from a 6 to an 8 seed, but it could possibly be higher. I don't know. I predicted that I believe that they'll win at least 47 games this season, and if they exceeded my expectations, I didn't have really no high expectations, so whatever happens is going to happen, and I'll be thankful. I've watched the Lakers over the last 5 years suck, and I still supported my team. I'm still going to continue to support my team. She also talked about Brandon Ingram. I fully agree with her. I've been saying since game 2 of the season that I felt that I haven't seen any growth in Brandon Ingram's game over the summer, especially starting with that fight with Brandon Ingram. I felt like he should have been more professional. He only scored 10 points and was scoring 12 points versus like the Hawks or the Kings or something like that. I like Brandon Ingram, but he has to bring that fire and that dog out of him. He's right, he is frail, but sometimes he finishes well at the rim sometimes, but my biggest concern for Brandon Ingram is making threes and him not being able to hit shots playing with LeBron James. I think Ingram has to be more confident in himself. Even if he misses the shot, just take it, period. Like, don't second guess it. Just fire your shot. Like, just let it go. And I agree with her to a certain extent about LeBron taking some responsibility, because she isn't saying anything any different than I said in my previous video. You know, people want to compare LeBron and MJ. Everybody was saying that Ingram was going to be LeBron, Scottie Pippen, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, LeBron is asking for Melo and all these other guys. Shouldn't you be making the players around you better enough to be a Scottie Pippen or something? But Ingram deserves a lot of blame too, because what were you doing over the summer? Were you working on your three-point shot all summer? And watching the games, it's like he isn't confident. When I watch these games, I see Ingram has a lot of mismatches. And I'm like, bro, like, if you don't just pull up over top of him. But like I said, I think Ingram could be special. But I told you guys in the beginning of the season that the clock would be running out. You never know, though. But I think Kuz and Ingram have to get to a point where they're consistent every game. But, you know, I don't think that LeBron and the Lakers, you know, are patient enough to wait for that point. And lastly, as far as like Anthony Davis, like, AD, listen, bro. Listen, bro, I'm really tired of having this conversation with you. You know, this franchise is called the Pelicans, bro. The Pelicans. And I know this going to sound crazy, and this may sound very crazy to you guys, and you could call me crazy if you want, but I just don't view the Boston Celtics young pieces that much better than the Lakers young pieces. Like, I just don't. You know, we can agree to disagree. I just think that if the Lakers were in the East, they'll be just as good as the Boston Celtics. You know, I don't think as of now Jason Tatum is better than Kyle Kuzma. Jason Tatum has more upside than Kyle Kuzma, could potentially be better, but I just don't think he's better at the moment. I don't think Jaylen Brown is that much better than Brandon Ingram. I think Josh Hart is just as good as any young piece on that Celtics team. Avisa Zubac. You know, I think we got nice pieces as well. Now, if you want to talk about draft picks and stuff like that, that's a different discussion. But, you know, she don't think none of these young guys have enough value for Anthony Davis or a top superstar. But I think a 3-team trade could possibly help the Lakers pull off that blockbuster deal. It's just Anthony Davis has to go demand a trade. But it's all on what the Pelicans want. And she spoke about how it's about next year, not with LeBron. Sorry, not with LeBron. We talk about the same person who was talking about he was about to break and lose his patience. Talk about he want to play with Anthony Davis and play with all these other players. Like, LeBron wants to win every year. The risk of crapping out in 2019 is super high. And if the Warriors three-peat this season, I don't see how Klay Thompson would just decide to want to leave Golden State. It's like, for what? But the deadline is closing in, and I think the Lakers should go all out on Anthony Davis. But if you can't get Anthony Davis, then just stick to what you have.